Hi Laura, welcome to my course on interview skills. I wanted to get your opinion on some questions because one, you know a lot about recruiting because you're a recruitment consultant or have been a recruitment consultant for many years.
Mhm.
And I thought it'd be really valuable to get your perspective on answering some questions about, how to actually go ahead and do a good interview. So, first of all, would you like to introduce yourself and your background?
Yes, yeah. So thank you for having me. So I have been in HR and recruitment now for probably close to 14 years. So that's across a wide range of roles, entry level to like director. And then I've kind of progressed and obviously started working for myself. So I tried to calculate the other day, and I think I've done in excess of 1,000 interviews in my time.
Whoa.
Yeah, and obviously it's changed a lot. The job landscape has changed a lot. How people interview has changed a lot. What companies look for has changed a lot. So I do think that this is like a really valuable discussion to have, especially with the job market at the moment. It's definitely a job seeker's job market, and it
Okay.
probably will be for the foreseeable. So yeah, really, really good conversation to have.
So just on that then, so how has it changed? What was it before and what kind of things are people, well, yeah, how's it changed? How is it
Yeah,
now?
yeah. So obviously with the pandemic, that had a massive, massive impact. So pre-pandemic, if we're thinking about your standard jobs, your 9 to 5 office jobs, obviously that just got completely kiboshed.
Hmm.
People were working from home, and it was like overnight. Um, with that, gave job seekers more opportunity because throughout 2020, 2021, job market was a little bit in a lull. Just with things going on. But as we've come out of that, and people are now used to like working from home, remote working, and they've realized actually and statistically you are more productive at home, and having that autonomy over your own life. What that's done is that's enabled job seekers to not just look like geographically local to them. They can literally look anywhere now. So that means that it's really, really competitive for people looking for jobs. And it also means that companies really do have access to good talent, and job seekers can say no to companies because they've got way more offers. They're not looking within a 10-mile radius of their house anymore. So it's really, really interesting. And obviously then that goes on to how you interview and online interviews, working in different time zones, which is really common now. And a lot of people are opting for that. People with
Mm.
kids, they want to work on a different time zone because it gives them that autonomy to take the kids to school and to pick them up and then to work in the evening when they're in bed. So it's a completely different landscape.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. So to me, what that sounds like is if you are a top talent, you've got lots and lots of opportunities, but you need to be a top talent these days because there's a lot more competition from people outside of your locality.
Yeah.
So making sure that you're not only good at interviews and you're good at your craft is more important than ever by the sounds of it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's kind of as well, it goes hand in hand that now people are competing with offshore candidates.
Hmm.
And obviously, from a business perspective, if a business can hire somebody for a little bit less,
Mm.
but they get the same quality of work, so that's then where there's a bit of like a push pull between offshore and onshore. So yeah, it is really, really interesting. And the thing is what I've learned is a lot of it comes down to the interview. And
Hmm.
it really, really does. And it's how well somebody interviews, because obviously, especially if we're looking at something, I know we're talking like remotely now, but you're really putting your trust in that individual. So how you interview it is really key. You know,
Hmm.
it really, really is. So again, another reason why I think this discussion is important, and also the way that we interview now in person is different regard the types of questions and what companies are looking for. So it's kind of like two-pronged.
I've got that would lead really nicely into the interview questions. But before I go there, I just want to ask: are there any advantages that you can think of for people that are in a more developed country? Because if they're competing against people that can take a lower wage and salary due to the cost of living in a less developed country, um, that to me obviously means that if you're in a developed country, you're at a disadvantage. But can you think of any advantages for people in a developed country?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I'm talking from personal experience and working with employers, there's still a little bit of skepticism from an employer perspective about hiring somebody offshore, purely because it carries a higher risk. So if you're an onshore candidate, we can get references. Like, it's a lot easier to kind of like check credibility.
Right.
And also that's where like having a really good LinkedIn profile and a really good CV and references, that's where that all ties in. Whereas if you've got somebody offshore, especially if they've been freelance or contracted, it's very, very difficult to gain that trust, especially if it's for like a higher paying position. So I'd say that, yeah, if you're from the country you're applying to, like you say, like a developed country, you've got that on your side, the credibility. Yeah, I'm not saying I agree with that. It's just what I've seen.
It is the way that it is, yeah. And all the more reason to make sure that you put the time and effort into CV, job searching, and interview skills. Yeah. Hence, why I'm creating this course to help people.
Yeah, I mean, I would say on that as well. We still are in the early stages. I mean, what is it, 2024? Like,
4.
Yeah, and in 3 years' time, 2 years' time, that will have changed again. There will be confidence in people offshore, so it's like you really, really need to be on point, which is again why I think that this is really, really important, because I think people become a bit lackadaisy. Oh, it's just an interview, and I hear that a lot. And people don't get the job. It's not just an interview, it's one of your career where you spend 40 hours, or what you spend 40 hours of your week doing is so important for many reasons. So if you've chosen a job and you want to get that job, then it's just so key to interview well.